Welcome to the PDR Workshop Podcast, where we provide information about the paintless dent removal process, anywhere from the best business practices, tech tips, and even tool recommendations. Don't forget, you can always join us and engage with the community during our live show every Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube. Thank you for listening and enjoy. All right, good evening. We are now live on tonight's episode 58. Episode 58, the worst cars to perform paintless dent repair, the cars to stay away from. We have Dave O in a new environment.
It's the transition period right now.
So we apologize a little bit. If you cannot hear Dave, guys, let me know. If you cannot hear me, let me know in the chat, and we'll be sure to turn it up because he is working off of a new mic or different mic, not new, right?
Yeah, right now, temporary setup.
So we want to thank everybody for joining us. And we want to thank the sponsors of the show, which is Blehm Tools, Dentcraft Tools, and Mobile Tech RX, as always, guys. So feel free to head over to their website, show them some love. I'm pretty sure they'll appreciate that, and we will too. So, Dave, we hit 20,000 subs today or yesterday or sometime.
Congratulations.
It looks like we're steamrolling to 21,000. So, thank you for everybody that shared and gave us a thumbs up on these videos. Thank you. We appreciate that. So this is going to be a short one. We always go over tools. Dave, do you have tools?
Nothing crazy or nothing that I haven't actually brought on the show before, but I was actually using today the Edgy Tools little mini knockdown on a small Dentcraft. But this tip that he gives along with
it works.
The no roll, I love this tip.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I mean, it's made out of, it's just a plastic tip, but I love the way it's shaped. I love the way it knocks down. It's a great accessory, and then it's just nice too because you get a little polished tip as well here. But yeah, this plastic adapter or tip from Edgy Tools is a lifesaver. I love this thing. It just slips right on and off. Like I said, I don't know what it's actually made out of or something like that, but it works on every vehicle. It knocks down super nice.
Yeah.
I can't say enough about this little plastic tip here.
Yeah, I hope you can order in like in a 10-pack.
Yeah, I found it in like yeah, it was just like a little separate accessory in one of the packs, and I slipped it on. And I love this thing, and it also comes stock, I think, on the no roll, which I also love as well. So
yeah, very creative. Edgy Tools is I think nailed it with those knockdowns, man.
yeah, I agree.
The knockdown, market is a little saturated. I mean, there's a lot of good stuff. But to stand out, it's actually a little amazing. So kudos to
Dave Street over at Edgy Tools.
Yeah. So if you guys haven't heard already, thank you for showing all the support. If you haven't already, go ahead and give us a thumbs up. Share this video. It's going to be a quick show. We want to get you guys engaged in this show. So if you have any cars that you've dread working on, please feel free to jump in the chat. Shout out to Rob. He gave a suggestion to have this as a show topic because I recently did a video probably about 2 weeks ago about this topic. So I'm going to share some stuff from the people who kind of commented there. So thanks, Lee. It's there's some cheap, like, I don't know what they call it, but like they knock the blue out of the environment, I guess, or whatever you see through. It's like cheap $20 glasses, but they work, man. It rests my mind after the show, so I can actually go to sleep. So, they look goofy, but hey. So what's up, Q?
Any tools, Chris? Did you bring any bring anything for tonight's show?
So I've been playing around with Glexo glue. It's the actual regular hot glue that he sells. And I always try to compare it with green. So far, it's been pulling very well. I don't know the price of this because I think he just gifted it to me when I ordered the cold glue, but it seems to be working very well. We were pulling out aluminum. I actually had an aluminum hood attached to the car, but using kind of like a frame puller to pull this dent out. So, and the Glexo glue is doing well now. I have two guns set up with green. I didn't give green too much of a chance, but I wanted to really, really try to Glexo to see if it was going to pull. So far I'm
Have you
comparing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
have you tried that cam glue that you had from MTE?
Yeah, so that's what I'm comparing. So I'm comparing the
Nice.
Cram, Glexo, and then the green. Uh, I I told you that the cam glue just feels more pliable even during colder weather. So sometimes you get to the glue sticks and it's just hard and they kind of just feel brittle. So they kind of just feel brittle. But the Glexo glue and the Cam Auto glue really feels pliable in those like 30-degree weather days. So that should have something to do with the set time. So I was allowing this glue to actually sit on the vehicle a lot longer than I would green. So on hail, I don't know. You get those jobs where it's very or it's I guess it's humid outside and you can lay like 20 tabs. I don't like to lay more than 8 to 10 tabs, and then it's just too much. But I've seen hail guys will lay 25 tabs down the panel and then pull them all at once. Normally they're the faster guys, so I'm not saying that my
And
method.
go in and knock it all down and then blend it all together and then there you
Yeah.
go.
So, but that's a technique. I mean, they've trained themselves to knock out 20 high spots. I just get bored, so I can only want to do about, 8 or 9 of those bad boys. And so I've been playing around with the Stanliner. I am going to the training that he's offering in the United States in Minnesota on at the end of this month. So I've been just playing around with his tools just so I can have some better questions to ask him. And so I think this is called the raised snake. It's a more rounded one. Let me see if I can. So it's the rounded one. This tool really does work well. I wish I bought the kind of double bend more so than this single bend up. I think I would get more uses out of it. But it's when I change the leverage point so I can use this tool. This is my go-to tool for any aluminum or sharp dents now with no tape. So
No high spots.
shoot, I mean it can create them, yes, but you move metal before high spots come, and a
Got
lot
it.
of tools will make a high spot before the metal moves. So and I'm nowhere near using it the way he says to use it. It's funny because I think even Sal commented about how I was using his slot bar. So it's like, I want to get better at using these tools, at least become 80 or 90%
So
efficient.
Jonathan asked, where were you using that tool? Like what panel?
So just what comes to mind is like a fender, kind of going through the hood access. So it's like an open fender. I use this tool a lot on some of the sharper dents that may be on like a body line, and I use the very tip of it. So again, I probably would use the double bend more often, kind of like our normal tools. I would just use the double bend, but so I don't recommend this version, the straight, but get the kind of double one that has a better angle, more or less. So, and then this one is the sharper version. I just bought to compare because he makes two,
Yeah, a
and
little more blade tip, it looks like, right?
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's. I mean, this is good to slide down like braces and stuff like that when you have that direct kind of access to it. But I don't know. I don't use this that often, so I'm really looking forward to
And then there's
April.
also multiple pushing points, correct?
Yes, yes. So this one I guess is only one or two, and this is the drag. You can kind of use this to drag more, and then this one you can push off to the side and stuff like that, and it does very well off to the side. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but how he builds these tools, it's kind of beveled. Like the sharp part, you see it? It's
Yeah,
so you definitely can push off the side of it, and you'll get the same reaction as this tool. Problem is
interesting.
you only got like one, so since this you need like longer versions, double bend. So I did bend one of my tools. I heard that was like a no-no for him, but I need to get the dent out, so gotta make the tools work for you. So those are my two tools that I brought, and I'll know more information when they come back. So, we have any questions, Dave, before we get started on the topic?
Jonathan just asked about where you using that panel, and then also too, why'd you go with the Stucky light, not the Pro PDR solutions?
Um, I've been debating to do a video because I'm not trying to bash any light on the market. I remember a day when there wasn't even a single light on the market, so I appreciate anybody's engineering talent to get these lights out. But I like the Stucky because it reminds me of a board. I'm able to just move that light any direction I can, and the neck doesn't get bound up. A lot of times with the Eliminant light, it just gets so tight over time. You can't move the light until you unsuction it, move it by your hand, and then suction the light back up. I know I was talking to James Lee, and he said a lot of times that the neck actually gets too tight, and he every time you send the light out, he just loosens up the neck for you, and then you kind of get that new vibe. So the new ones work perfect, but it's fine tuning all of those like 28 screws,
Yeah,
to make it work like a board. Because in a board, you just move it and it stays. Move it and it stays. Well, in the Stucky, because it's so light, it does the exact same thing. You just tighten up like maybe 3 or 4.
of the
He has
collars.
these little collars that he sells, and I could just move it around a lot quicker than I can in a limited. I do like the limited when it's on a stand because it is a lot brighter. So when I'm finishing, I tend to put the light back at least 8 feet or so. And the Stucky just can't do that, and the Stucky doesn't have a Medusa, so I'm kind of out of options. So I think if the Stucky was brighter with a Medusa, or had some type of clamp that I can clamp to my little cymbal stand, I probably be using a Stucky a little bit more. But then you got the difference in oh man, they just got good features. So, but that's why I use the Stucky mainly. I can move the light back more and more, or easier. What do we have? We have a bunch of
Nice.
tech, a bunch of
John was
questions.
asking what light. Yeah, yeah. Jonathan was asking what light I use. Ever since the Limited came out, I've been loyal. I've been a loyal customer. 4 or 5 boards now. Um, that's just what I've always used. I've trained my eyes to really use it. 14-inch, 20-inch, you really can't go wrong. I like to do the 5 strip, so you get a couple more colors, a couple more combinations in the light. It's a little more expensive, but the 3 strip, I think a couple of other techs use because they like a single light in each position. So it's kind of personal preference when it comes to that, but I'm a limited all the way. Everything I own is Makita. So my board is Makita, my buffer's Makita. I mean, everything that I need, it has interchangeable batteries. So I buy the big 4 ohm, off of eBay. Those work every single time. So yeah, I've been a loyal limited user since the beginning.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I just can't get with it. I mean, I can get with it, but the convenience factor. Like
Yeah,
I can
Peter
go.
Vega just said that he said the same thing about the Stucky Mini, and it resembles a fog board. Just that
Yeah.
like ease of use, I'm sure probably helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I can see in both lights. I don't think I haven't tried that fade board. I heard that fog board. I heard it was pretty good that Stucky came up with. But I can see on both lights. It's just usability. It just seems a little bit better for my style. I'm constantly moving that light, and I don't have time to be unsuctioned and suctioned back. Um, so does Mobile Tech RX work for Canadian techs? I would say yes, but shoot them an email and they will definitely um
Yeah,
answer
answer
for
those
you.
questions.
Yeah, I would say yes, because all the cars are pretty much the same. I mean, you guys got a somewhat of a different, but it is what it is. Any other questions, Dave, before we start getting into this crazy topic?
Right now, no, we're good.
No problem, Brian. Anytime, anytime. All right, so the topic is the worst cars to work on, and Riley Dent Company said older Subarus, paper thin metal, and super cracky paint. This was a comment on a week ago on my video. I would have to agree. Uh, I haven't worked on much older Subarus, but the new Subarus, they seem like they haven't got the paint right. So that thing would not handle. I have a problem glue pulling the newer ones. What about you, Dave?
I've had some issues now and then. Any Subaru that just comes into my hands, I'm always weary. It's kind of just like you play that game with Subaru paint, you don't really know. But I just feel like there's always that chance with that model of car or
Yeah.
make of car.
I don't care what year. Obviously, the newer ones fall under this umbrella, but they all I will pull the paint quick, and it's not the paint; it's mainly the clear, no matter what it is. And then the way I show the body shop, normally it's Hale or the customer. If you spray alcohol on the panel, you can actually rub the clear right off the car. It is so cheaply painted. It's unreal. So watch yourself on the new or old Subarus, let alone the metal still paper thin. So I'm pretty sure. I wonder if anybody knows any like buff that do any buff work on cars. Like, what are their problems with the Subarus? Like, what are their challenges that they run into? If anybody can share that,
Yeah.
and any other car comes to mind.
For me, it's BMW body lines. When you have a three, any three and up series, just has that hard top body line. And when those get whacked, I mean, bringing those back to shape, to that original contour, it can be very, very difficult. A lot of flat bar use, a lot of reaching with some double bends, trying to get that
Hmm.
thing, have leverage to completely get that thing out,
Hmm.
can be very, very tough.
Yeah. So Peter just said he just did a Alfa Romero, and the aluminum is super super rigid. So watch out for those guys. Let's see. Yeah.
So the
He said,
the paintless dentist, Crow Soccer here, he said, "Do you hate working on Volvos because of their annoying window mechanisms?" I
mm,
Yes. They have this weird bracing in there, inside of them. I think it's kind of like more of like a V, and they always get hit right in the middle. And it seems like you can never break through that glue, and you always have to glue pull when it's inside of that brace there. That's sometimes, a lot of times, the only way to repair that, or you'll just kind of mangle up that whole area trying to break that glue between the bracing and that outside panel. Um, uh, yeah, 100% Volvos. I have
mm.
some very, very weird window mechanisms and bracing inside of them that make
Is
it
that the newer
very,
one?
very. Oh no, it goes all the way back.
Uh,
Uh, yeah, it goes all the way back. Their bracing and their window stuff is very, very tough, and it's a lot of times a weird mix of tooling and glue pulling in a tight braced up area.
wow. I remember like the S60s. Oh, I think it's you get the dent right up. Like if they get it higher than that little body line fold, this is a nightmare for me, man. Hate working on those
The
cars.
older ones where they kind of like bubble out,
Yeah,
almost like Ford
yeah,
Taurusy. Yeah, kind of like an
yeah,
old Ford
yeah,
Taurus, that big bubble. Yeah, and you got to get a flat bar or some sort of double bend that'll reach all the way out there and get the top of that body line and be able to track that all the way down.
yeah. See, when I came in, let's see, 2016, 2000, yeah, I mean, sorry, 2013. It was no. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, 2006. God dang, 2006, 2005. Well, what happened there was that's right when I think those Tauruses kind of were just hitting the market or kind of fading away. And I had a special tool for that for those Tauruses. Man, that car I used to dread that car. Man. And the dents were always on that little body line roll. Mm.
Yeah, Rally Dent Company said new Mustangs as well have a tough body line. I completely agree. But I feel like on those Ford Mustangs, you can really,
Yes.
put some pressure on that window or that opening up top, and it's not too
Mhm.
bad. Sometimes those BMW, like those three, it can be tight when you're trying to wedge that window. And I think I mentioned before, I've broken a 3 Series rear window uh, for that reason. That top body line was hit, and just putting too much pressure on that window ended up uh, making it just pop.
Brian from Dent Zone said the old Sebring convertibles.
Yeah, Matt
That
said
had to
the
be a
same
bad
thing.
car because I don't think I worked on maybe one or two, but I came from that era where it was like, stay away from this car. Like they already warned me to stay away from that car. So I didn't get that too often. So it looks like in the chat is me is the work vans, man, like those big giant cargo vans or bedsides. Bedsides is not so much, but those cargo vans, they're getting a little bit of a no body
Yeah,
shop.
I mean, yeah, a lot of the body shops, even that I deal with here, um, don't worry too much about the commercial vehicle. I don't get too many commercial vehicles into my hands unless it's brand new and it's getting wrapped or something like that. And there's maybe a high spot, maybe one high spot in the quarter panel like that, but nothing ever too serious. Um, but you said bedsides, like pickup truck bedsides. Some of those can be, tough, especially when there's no access from that top
Mhm.
rail. And you're
Yeah,
either going from the taillight pocket or maybe a factory hole in the well. But those bedsides can be, depending on the damage and how hard it was hit, they can be brutal.
yeah. So Trey said anything convertible from BMW. I know the 3 or 4 series has a plug, so you can get a lot of access in the quarter panel or in the wheel well. So I'm pretty sure those panels are not too bad actually in the 3 series or whatever the fours. Someone said the new Mustang hood. That is the only hood that took me 2.5 days to fix. So I agree. They're aluminum. I think they're like the GT version or the Boss 302 version of them. They are absolutely crazy. But the nice thing about that, I think from the factory, they're right around 16 to 1700 brand new. So they will kind of pay you for that time. So if you're doing hail, they're very expensive hoods. I saw actually a
And
lot of
some of
people.
those Mustang hoods had limited access as well, if I recall.
Yes, yes, you will be
Some of them.
fighting. Yeah, because it has like this like vent or something, and the way they put that glue there, man. Then I think the whole front of the hood is a lot of it. You're just glue pulling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. It is. Yeah, Q. Anything honeycomb, I agree. A
Yeah.
lot of times though, it's hail that I'm working on, so I'm just kicking them anyway. It's just no point in sitting on them. What else do we have here? So I have a little.
Someone said
Go ahead.
the infamous Dodge Challenger quarter panels. Um, those can be a hit or miss. Sometimes they're in some weird spots, and they can be very tough to get access to. A lot of the PDR forums, either on through Facebook, um, show kind of like the X-ray version, and there's only two, main points of entry, and they can be very tough. And I know you had a video, I think, of a Challenger not too long ago,
Mhm.
kind of in a weird, funky spot on that quarter panel body line.
Yeah.
They're always a challenge.
Yeah, they have 2 plugs. Well, if you take apart the interior, it's it's pretty decent. You're not too bad, closer to the door. And they do have some plugs inside in the wheel well too. I think it's just 1 or 2, if I can't remember. Um, what else we have here? Now, uh we're telling you all this tough cars, but Mobile Tech RX actually shows, Dave, you touched on it, actually shows the kind of exploded view of that panel. Sometimes, body shops will send in pictures or techs will send in pictures. So they'll show the outer panel kind of cut out and where all of that bracing is. So if you guys are getting stuck on a lot of cars, you may want to opt for the Mobile Tech RX comparable pricing. Is it comparative?
Yeah,
Comparative?
comparative pricing. Yeah, they do have that option.
And I think they have about I don't know. They definitely have some of the tougher cars because that's what people are looking for pictures. But they show us this honeycomb. So if you're doing estimates over the phone and you haven't really seen the car to check the honeycomb hoods and what the inside of the doors look like, that may be an option for you guys to sign up for. Also, Blehm and Dentcraft all have shave tools. It looks like Blehm's tools are bendable and they work a little bit better to gain access to these tougher areas. So I think most of these cars that we're talking about, you actually got to use a custom tool or fabricate something or bend something to get access to any of this stuff that we're talking about. And so if you guys are interested, I use the Blehm shave tool alongside of the Ultra Dent shave tool. And the Blehm is just a lot thinner for you. And then again, it's bendable. So those shave tools, I'm almost making a S on those bad boys. So if that interests you, go over and check them out. Anything Ford new aluminum, the 6,000 series aluminum. Junk. If you ask me. So I need your van set up. Yeah, I'm gonna try, Jonathan. But yeah, the Ford aluminum is horrible. I think the aluminum just starts to separate like easier than any other car. I think German aluminum is great, if you're gonna deal with the aluminum. But yeah, that Peter said it. That military grade stuff, man, is horrible for repairs. They can't even get paint to bond to it. Every time I see a Ford pickup, it's flaking off the hood. So, uh, they have all kind of issues. Hopefully, Ford changes some kind of, in the aluminum. But new Jettas, they have a very distinct body line. Like it is sharp. So, have you worked on one yet, Dave?
I can't say I have, not yet.
Yeah, it is. I went to the dealership and I just shook my head. I was like, "Oh my god, man!" And the crazy thing about it is that car. Oh, yeah, that car. It's a cheaper car. It's like a Civic. It compares to a Civic, so it's like they're always going to get dents on that byline, and it's just going to drive the price up. And unfortunately, for the inexpensive cars, it's normally just a commuter car. So, a lot of customers do not want to spend the money to keep a car like that, looking good. So we have to go up on the prices because it's more time. But, at the end of the day, it's the same type of clientele buying those cars. So kind of sucks. I don't know about you. I have a dent warranty company and their number one dealer is Volkswagen. So this is gonna for them, not me. And what anything we're missing, Dave?
No, no. I mean, everyone's kind of just going back and forth on what cars, that they like to stay away from, and that's kind of why this topic came up because I think you had an Audi the other day that you were kind of frustrated with. I know I get frustrated with certain vehicles at times, and all of us as techs like definitely have these like cars, certain cars that we're just like, are you not another one, not another one, because you know how difficult it's going to be.
What's the one car that as soon as they say the model, you just shake your head?
The first one that comes to mind is a Jeep Wrangler because
No, which yeah, the
yeah, it's going to be the cowl. Yeah, that's the first one that comes to mind.
Mine is I think it's the Land Rover Discovery. Like as soon as they say that, I'm like, oh, it's built like a tank. Like I don't want to do nothing on that car. I don't even want to do the doors, like nothing on that car. That's what comes to mind right now. Is the older Land Rover Discoveries
Yeah.
or any vans, any cargo van. Like I'm just shaking my head. So what categorizes a car to be on our list, Dave? I didn't send you the show notes, so I'm asking you, and you don't even have the show notes. So, oh, sorry about that. But I will go over it. It is the type of metal, the impossible access. R&I is needed. We haven't talked about a lot of cars that just absolutely need a ton of R&Is to actually gain access. So we'll talk about that. Tools required. They need specialized tools to get those common dents out. And then common dents like the cow Those are some of the cars that will be on this list. And then paint durability. I think Subaru and Ford. I know the Chevy. I'm sorry, the Burgundy Ford paint is just as bad as the Subarus. So watch out, guys, on that one. But other than that, I think Subaru takes the crown for the worst car manufacturer paint out right now.
I agree.
At least I think so. I think so. So out of all that, Dave, we need to talk about what car requires the most R and I. We pretty much talked about everything else.
Um, what frustrates me, I mean, when it does come to R&I like that, and there's something on a quarter panel, and I have to drop half of the bumper just to get the tail light out. A lot of the middle year or you just a couple year old Hondas, I think some Toyotas as well, you got to kind of partially drop that rear bumper because there's a 10 mil or two 10 mils that sit under there. And that's the only way that you're going to actually release that tail light. When it could be for something that's either super simple or something where you need a lot of access, you need that tail light opening. When I come to that problem, it can be very frustrating because I know it's about to add another, 20 minutes, half hour to the repair time. And it's kind of just a pain because I know it's just two 10 mils,
Yeah.
so
Yeah. Yeah.
um, yeah, that's gonna.
See, on laminate glass, anything with laminate glass, if we're gonna be messing around, we take the glass out. And those things are starting to become $800-900, and
Yeah,
we're not doing
and they're
it.
becoming
So
more prevalent.
yeah,
And some of these, what used to be cheaper makes and models are now having laminated glass, so we're now having to watch out for that a lot.
yep. And all of these cars we just named, I think like 80% of them will require a lot more R&Is. You were talking about the Challenger quarter panel. You got an R&I in back seats and everything to get those quarter panels. Now, I want to touch a little bit about scanning, and rescanning, the added cost that it costs, when you start taking all this stuff apart. I think we really haven't touched on it. As a PDR industry, I think the body shop guys, they understand it. They always got to clear the codes out as the car leaves. But for us as mobile techs, we're working and we're doing similar things. We're disconnecting stuff and we're putting things back together. So this kind of will fall in the category, just the time to bring the car back to its original form. If you have to pull out your scanner to clear codes, you got to play with that for 30 minutes. It's going to add nothing but cost to these repairs. Yeah, so I will pull all the laminate glass out of any car I work on. I broke it
Yeah.
2 in 1 day, so I learned my lesson. I was
uh,
done.
just ask how many windows have you guys all broke? I think in my career over a 10-year span,
Let's say 4.
um, I think it's about that 4 or 5 somewhere in there.
Yeah.
Um, and I remember my first one. I've told this on the show a couple times before, but it's a Bentley GT Continental.
Ooh.
Uh, I used an ultra thin whale tail.
Mm.
At the time, I braved it and did not use a metal window guard. I made one turn with that ultra thin whale tail, and it cracked the entire glass all the way down. It's $1,000 piece of glass just for the glass itself, not including R&I, not including tint, and has to be repaired directly at Bentley. You can't just call Safelite for a glass or your local glass guy. You actually have to go to Bentley for it. So I definitely learned my lesson. But over time, things do happen with other vehicles, other makes, other models, where I've broken glass as well, and even taking all the necessary precautions, using a pump wedge, using double wedges on each side of the window guard. You can take all of these necessary precautions, but sometimes things kind of just happen.
I was actually tracking almost like a broken window like every year and a half to 2 years. And ever since I've been taking them out, knock on some kind of wood, I haven't had any issues. Um, so I would definitely just take it out. Just charge, tell the customer, and
Yeah,
they will respect it. Because I look at it like this: it's not just the price, what they say, the quality, the price is gone before. What I get mixed up with these terminologies. You know what I'm talking about?
I do
You
not.
know, so guys, help me out here. It's like the price is long forgotten, more so the quality lingers or something. I don't know. Somebody will put it in the comments. Yeah, I heard it the other day and it reminded me of it. But so when you when you take the window out, you just reassure that the customer does not have an issue. Later on down the road, when you're done with that repair, you now got to tell the customer, I need to put you in the rental because I need to replace this glass. You don't know what their plans were. So just to eliminate all that stuff, hey, it's gonna be 2 more hours. I have to take your door apart, take your glass out. And I've got such a good system, and it's only like 30 minutes to do that for most glass, other than that Maserati. so, but yeah, so it's not too bad.
Do you recommend plastic or metal window guards?
I only run metal, so and actually have yeah, I run the
Yeah,
Dentcraft.
I use the Ultra Dent Tools metal window guard. The felt has peeled a little bit, so that is the only issue, but
Yeah,
I've glued it back down multiple times and it's fine. Um, Now Dentcraft also has that kind of plastic blue. Um, it's very light and flimsy window guard. I do like that one as well, but it's only for tight openings. Sometimes even the metal window guard can be too thick. The only issue with that is sometimes it will slide all the way down the door, and you have to go and get it. And I do have a hack for that that I saw somewhere by taking some glue, putting it on a whale tail, and letting it dry on that window guard and pulling it up. And I've seen a couple hacks too as well with putting a hole punch at the top and allowing it to not that doesn't allow it to drop down. But sometimes I do have both window guards, but I use the metal just because I feel it just gives more protection in between the window and my tool.
yeah. No, and the lip on my metal one is almost
Very,
3 inches, so it's not going in that door
yeah.
no matter what.
Sometimes do have to be careful, guys, too, with these metal window guards. They will sometimes mar up the interior if you're not careful. So I throw a microfiber cloth on the back side of that.
Yeah, for sure. Any other question we're going off of? Yeah, they nailed it. The bitterness of poor quality remains long after the sweetness of the low price is forgotten. Benjamin Franklin. Thank you, sir. I gotta memorize that so I don't sound like a fool.
uh, but you were talking about R&Is and properly doing things, and Peter said he's going to be honest and remove as minimum as possible. Being mobile most of the time, you don't have the flexibility or room, and I completely agree. I completely understand. I am the same way. I'm trying to find the easiest way to access this dent without actually having to R&I. So I'm doing more creative things, I feel like, with tools, bending them in different ways and trying to find certain accesses rather than actually removing parts to gain ease of access.
Now, you may have seen my setup, Dave. Now I have a shop in Waldorf that everything is set up. Like I can do whatever I want. But I also have my shop in Alexandria. I share with a detail shop, and I have to literally lug in my tools every time. I have to move the car 3 or 4 times. I almost feel like, I mean, yes, today, Dave, I was talking to you. I felt like I said, man, I might as well work on the car outside. They were so busy in there. So I almost feel like I'm mobile. I'm just physically not driving to the customer's house. But if you give me an extra parking space, I will still have that door on a hood stand. So I almost think that maybe it's like because you're mobile, you have 5 other stops you need to do that day. And for me, I don't have but 2 or 3 scheduled appointments because they're large repairs. And maybe I just have that flexibility. So does mobile really have something to do with it? Or is it just you're mobile so you're trying to maximize your time and you really need those in and out repairs?
I
Because if
think
I
it's
was mobile, I
definitely a
still would be
maximization of
doing it.
time. Um, Even with R&I, like R&Ing a door panel, it's realistically, depending on the door panel, tops maybe 30 minutes, 40 minutes tops, something like that, 30, 40 minutes. You're adding onto the repair. But the frustration, if you do run into a complication that can
Mhm.
add
Yeah.
to the, repair time now by an hour, 2 hours, if something does get messed up. So taking that risk, to R&I, I mean, sometimes isn't worth the hassle because now you're going to delay everything else if you do run into a snag just from a clip doesn't want to go back in. The window needs to be reset. You didn't know. If there is one issue, that can ruin the rest of the day. So, I agree with Peter. Glue pull and tooling combo comes into play before, R&I.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right. I do have a bunch of stuff I can actually, rebuild clips and everything.
Yeah,
So
that's not happening.
windows
Working
too,
out of a
windows,
Ford Transit Connect.
you need the bigger one. You just need the Ford Transit. You
Yeah, I could get a whole soldering table if I need to and just rebuild the whole thing. Yeah,
order parts right from it. Delivery guy
Yeah,
just comes, drop off at your transit.
yeah.
No,
And
no,
ours said too, or you R&I and realize there's still no good access.
yeah,
And like you said earlier, that's where Mobile Tech RX comes in, and that's when the comparative pricing, can typically help, because it will give you photos if you don't have, a good idea of what's going on inside of that panel. They may have photos for you to actually see. Oh, okay, there is good access. I can take the carrier plate off. That will get me somewhere. Um, but for the most part, I mean, I'm trying a combination of glue and tools.
yeah. So Lee said he just texted in. He said sometimes he gives the customer an option, lower price if it's okay with a hole. We prefer it not, for some of the customers that don't care. So I agree. I agree. I would persuade the customer that you don't want a hole, but some customers they really, really do not care. And I've had times where they were like, literally, just put a hole there, and I'm like, hmm. How do you respond to that? It's like, okay, it is your car. It's not like it's a rental car. You're not trying to hide anything. So I'm like, all right, let me go find where's my bit. So I mean, it
You know, and
happens.
and if I have to do,
So
if I have to have that same conversation and it does come up,
yeah,
and a lot of times I'll point to one of the front doors and there's usually a factory hole there. And I said, hey, it's not like there's, not factory holes all over the vehicle already, but we are going to manufacture access. And if they're okay with it, like you said, then go ahead and do it.
yeah,
But it being mobile, you're running into these situations and having to think on your feet very, very quickly. Because if they don't want a hole and they said no, that is not an option. Now you're going to step two. It's glue and tools. And I'm doing the last thing or doing all the things I have to do before I actually have to R&I if I don't have to.
yeah, yeah. That's yeah. Yeah, what's the name was saying is considered frame damage. Yeah, and any insurance work you do, they don't want any holes drilled. So yeah, it is best practice to learn how not to drill and gain access because sometimes your approach and the toolings that you will normally use will be completely different. So, there's some dents like bottom of the door, right close to the edge. If you pop that hole in, that dent's gonna be done in like 30 minutes. But now you gotta actually use some type of contraption to work backwards for the next 2.5 hours. So yeah, definitely crazy. Let's see. Tape buddy around the door. Yeah, there's some big lawsuits coming out with drilling and you know doing because I think the manufacturer obviously does say they don't even recommend PDR because they know we kind of drill. Certain manufacturers do not want any PDR performed on their cars, and I think that's Aston Martin or Jaguar. They do
Yeah.
not want any PDR performed on their cars. So if anybody works
You
at the
know,
factory, let me know.
so I have a question for you. What about so it's an issue when we do drill as technicians, right? So there's certain times or certain situations where it's an issue, where it can be. But what about when there's rust proofing? I come across vehicles that have. There's a company called Z-Bart here locally that they do
Hmm.
rust proofing and they spray inside of the panels and under the vehicle, and they actually drill holes and then they plug them with their company plug. I don't know
Hmm.
if that's maybe just they sign a waiver and it's part of the process, and it's okay. Maybe the same liability does fall on them as well. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I totally forgot. I know what you're talking about. I actually thought that was PDR. I was like, yeah, they doing PDR. What's going on here? And it was actually the rust proofing. So yeah. Yeah, there's two of them in my area, so I'll ask them about that. I'll definitely ask them because the insurance company gets really pissed when they got to replace the entire quarter pound when they know a PDR guy drilled. But maybe I don't know, and they got plugs that say their name on it, so
Correct.
know exactly who did that. um, let's see. Sure, a lot of times take Chris. Yeah, Chris, do you have those pliers? Dave, do you have the edge pliers?
I do not.
You do not. They work very well. I recommend them. I was blessed enough to get them for free. So I don't know how much they cost, but like I said, I think in my last little video, if they're under 150, 170, I think they're a good buy. But they will get you out. I mean, I did some trim that I don't think I would have been able to do with anything else. And so I don't know. That saved me right there. So if I knew I could actually use that, I probably would have, definitely spent a little more coin on it. It's engineered very well. Less fatigue when you're trying to move that. Yeah, the 189, that's not bad. Yeah, that's not bad. You will get your money back out of them in like the first or second repair. So if you do a lot of
Yeah.
lots, like that's the common dent on those lots. So 2
And a
second.
lot of these vehicles that we're telling you to stay away from, sometimes they require, a whole for repair. I mean, because sometimes there's no other way. You're not going to get the right leverage. You're R&Ing the entire door to the shell, just to go ahead and repair something sometimes. And, as a mobile tech, it can be very difficult to have to um, account for that, especially time in your schedule. When you have a shop, it's a lot easier. You could probably deconstruct that whole door, within an hour, and you have that shell, and you can just go ahead and go to work. Being
Mhm.
mobile, it does make it a challenge. And these vehicles that we're talking about, Dodge Challengers, and you're ripping apart the back seat, and I have it laying in a driveway, or like it's inside of the garage, and it can be very challenging at times. Some of these vehicles with the harder body lines. Trying to find power source for heat, all these things that make these certain vehicles difficult.
Yeah. Peter said edge pliers and hole straightener is on his list. The hole straightener is money. I don't know if any
I
other
agree.
manufacturer's making it, but
I
that
need both
sucker
as well.
one is great. That is it's not out, he said, until like May or June. So I have to order like 2 or 3 more. So those things are beautiful. Let's see. Yep. When they cut the sunroof, that is a fairly large hole, rust proofing on every estimate handed to remove replacing door. All right, so I think that's it, guys. Now, just to go over the categories, metal type, which is I think aluminum, high strength steel, all this ultra high steel, pretty much will put this car on this list. Some of these metals are just absolutely ridiculous, I would say. And then, impossible access. The only way that helps out on that is just getting a bunch of tools. People look at my toolbox. I only grab maybe about 10 or 15 on average, but it's the specialty tools that I have scattered across, well, in my toolbox that you see.
What's a car
Um,
that when comes to mind, it's glue pull only? There's no access.
the Discovery. I mean, that thing is just I don't know. That's a good question, Dave, because
For me, it's
I feel like
Volkswagen roofs.
I just push right through that bad boy. Or
I
or
did I did a beetle or a bug, whatever you want to call it. And I made the mistake of trying to take down the headliner,
uh
and I don't know, about 4.5 hours later, I finally got it back up. Uh, and throughout the repair, I actually glue pulled, and the ease of glue, or the ease of metal movement with glue pulling, made me just kind of shake my head after I was done and said I should have just did this from the jump, and that's what I should have done.
Yeah, I think, you're talking about that little cardboard layer that's there?
Yeah, but it was just the R&I of the
Yeah,
actual headliner, where glue
yeah,
pulling was kind of just, that's the option I should have went straight forward to.
yeah. Yeah, it's funny, when I get stuck is when those R&Is from those custom sunroof manufacturers, when you go up there and you look at the headliner you have to drop, I stay away from them. I get the body shop to do it, which tends to be a new headliner for the customer because they pretty much hack their old one up. So it's a one-time install for that one. Um, I think, Peter, I want to answer your question. I think you were talking about the Stucky. Yeah, so Stucky has a whole straightener that does very well. I'm very happy with mine. Anything else, Dave? Hmm? You
No,
there?
sir. Yes, sir.
And that's it. Well, guys, I want to thank you for joining us on the show. If you haven't already, please give us a thumbs up. We should have a special live show next week. So do you want to share what it is, or you just want to kind of hold it?
So the plan is for me to head out to the East Coast again, guys. And so if you've been keeping up with us from day one, I've done a couple shows out there already. So that time has come again. And so what we're trying to plan to do for next Monday's show is going to be doing a live repair. So stay tuned for that. We're trying to get all the kinks worked out and make sure we can get everything situated correctly
Yeah.
for that show. But yeah, next Monday night, we're looking to do a live repair.
Yeah, I think it'd be great. Give you guys some input. And that'd be great. So I want to thank the sponsors for making all of this happen, guys. We have a lot more content. We just got to get over this hump of winter. But I want to thank Blehm Tools, Mobile Tech RX, and Dentcraft Tools, guys. Head over there to their website and show them support, please. And we appreciate you joining us tonight for episode 58 on the PDR Workshop Live Show.
Thanks, guys.
That's it, guys. Peace.